Man's prayers are always answered, for he always receives that which he believes. The law that governs prayer is impersonal. Belief is the condition necessary to realize the desire. Neville Goddard. Your faith is your fortune. When you're 12 and living in communist Poland, there isn't much to do for excitement. We had 3 television channels, mostly boring programs, and whatever trouble we could get ourselves into. My mates and I were mad about horror films. We'd watch anything we could find. Bootleg videos passed around the neighborhood, late-night films when our parents weren't paying attention. The scarier, the better. One film was about talking to dead people, communicating with ghosts. At 12, you think everything you see in movies is possible. We watched it and thought, why not give it a go ourselves? My cousin knows someone who can do this properly, said Merrick. Real ghost talking, not pretending. The someone was a 15-year-old who seemed dead clever to us younger kids. He showed us how to make a board with letters in a circle, how to use a glass as a pointer, all the proper techniques. You can't mess about, he warned us. If you're just having a laugh, nothing happens. But if you're serious, they'll talk back. We decided the basement of my block of flats was perfect. Dark, quiet, no adults around. We spent ages preparing, making the letterboard, practicing what to do, getting ourselves properly wound up. Now I understand, we were just kids playing with stuff we didn't understand. Back then, it felt completely real. The sessions became our regular thing. Every few days, we'd meet in that basement, light candles, put our fingers on the glass, and ask questions. Sometimes, nothing happened. Sometimes, the glass moved in ways that felt like something else was controlling it. One evening felt different, though, more focused. We asked who we were talking to, and the glass spelled out answers that seemed really specific, more than we could have made up ourselves. Then I asked the question that messed with my head for 30 years. When will I die? I thought it was safe to ask because surely the answer would be something vague, something ages away. The glass started moving immediately. PLANECRASHAT 43. We all went quiet. Even at 12, you know when something feels properly scary. That's miles away, Merrick said, trying to make us feel better. You'll probably never even get on a plane anyway. He was right about that. This was communist Poland in the 1980s. Flying abroad was for rich people and party officials. Most of us would never leave the country, let alone get on an aircraft. But the world changed faster than we could imagine. Communism collapsed. Borders opened. Flying became normal, then routine. By the time I moved to Slovakia in 2000, I was traveling for work, going on holidays abroad. The impossible world from my childhood became everyday life. Except every time I got near an airport, that basement prediction came flooding back. The fear got worse every year. Not just normal nervousness about flying, but proper terror that got stronger as I approached age 43. I'd board planes sweating, convinced each flight might be my last. The closer I got to that birthday, the more terrified I became. My wife noticed. She'd watch me pace around airports, see me gripping the armrests during takeoff, hear me whispering prayers when we hit turbulence. "What's wrong with you?" she'd ask. "How do you explain that when you were 12, some glass in a basement told you how you'd die? How do you admit that a childhood game has been controlling your life for decades?" It took years of positive thinking and eventually getting that dark substance removed before I could even start dealing with the flying fear. Only after the spiritual cleansing could I begin to understand what had really happened. The most important bit came during a different basement session, weeks after the death prediction. We'd been trying to contact scarier things. One evening, whatever was moving the glass claimed to be the devil himself. "I'll show myself to you," it promised. "Look in the mirror at midnight and you'll see my real form." At 12, this was the ultimate dare. We all said we'd do it, But in the end, I was the only one brave enough. At exactly midnight, I crept to the bathroom mirror in our flat. My heart was hammering as I switched on the light and looked at my reflection. I saw myself, just me, a 12-year-old boy with messy hair and frightened eyes, staring back from the glass. I almost laughed. Not nervous laughing, but proper amusement at how stupid I'd been. The devil scaring me was just my own reflection. The only evil in that mirror was whatever I brought there myself. It took me years to work out what that moment really meant. Turned out the biggest problem was me all along. The curses we're most afraid of are usually ones we put on ourselves. The plane crash prediction wasn't some supernatural prophecy. It was just random letters spelled out by nervous kids, and I'd given it power over 30 years of my life. The real devil in the mirror wasn't some supernatural creature. It was my willingness to believe that childhood nonsense could control my adult life. Once I understood this, after I'd been spiritually cleaned and could think clearly about what actually happened in that basement, the flying fear started to fade. Not immediately, but gradually, as I realized I'd been carrying around someone else's idea of entertainment as my own destiny. I turned 43 without dying in a plane crash. I've flown dozens of times since, each journey easier than the last. Those basement sessions taught me something crucial. We create our reality whether we mean to or not. 12-year-old me thought he was just playing a game. Really, I was programming myself with fears that would take ages to get rid of. The spirits we thought we were talking to weren't ancient ghosts with special knowledge. They were just our own minds. Fears and expectations we projected onto moving glasses and flickering candles. The real lesson wasn't about communicating with the dead. It was learning that we can curse ourselves without meaning to. And more importantly, we can break those curses when we stop believing in them. The devil in the mirror is always ourselves, but so is the person who can set us free.